Hi everybody, it's Organic here. I'm here to do my tier list update to the best Glooga partners. If you're just here to have some background noise, or if you're here to learn how to build a really good Glooga comp, you've definitely come to the right place. Definitely gotten a much more attention now that Glooga has won Area Cup, which I'm really happy about. So, we also have some new weapons as well, which is really nice because it gives many more options for the kinds of team comps you want to be building. So we're going to be going all over that. We're first going to go over the best coolers, the best fighting partners and supports, and then some alternative anchors. And then at the end, we're going to be ranking the new weapons in all those categories. All right, let's get straight into it. This is the continuation of my short series that I did on the best Glooga partners, starting with the Dynamo Roller. The thing about the Dynamo Roller that makes it different from other core options is that it also functions as area of effect, which is something that Glooga really needs. Glooga really needs AoE. I think there's a few exceptions, but generally I like to have that on my team. So being able to have area of effect and cooler on the same weapon is really good. It's good roll compression, and I really appreciate it. The only thing I don't like is that I don't feel like having Glooga and Dynamo together really works because you run into some speed issues. I think having two weapons on the slower side kind of brings the comp down. You have to really improvise on how you want to play around that. So for that reason, even though it's got the AoE, I'm gonna give it an alternative cooler option. Next up, we have Pencil. Everybody knows about Pencil, right? Really good long range paint, excellent cooler output. It's also an anchor, which means it's not going to die as much, so it's going to get more coolers in that way. And it has really good combo numbers. Being able to go and put out 68 damage is really helpful. And it's for those reasons that it's also probably the best cooler option still for Glooga dualies. It has a combo that allows Glooga to hit anybody with a roll shot or even just a standing fire shot. It is one shots after Pencil gets it. It also has really good paint, like Glooga really appreciates the long range paint that it has. And yeah, it's just really strong. Honestly, I wouldn't want anything else other than maybe one other weapon to be on my team comp. It just opens up so many more options for your team comp. Being able to have all the qualities that Pencil does. You run really good supports with it. Next up is Zap. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really a big Zap believer. I feel like there's really good alternatives to Zap right now, like the new Dapple and 96 Gal. Specifically for Glooga though, I think it works decent. You get really good paint output and good cooler output, and you have bombs to make up for Splash Wall not being a bomb. That's another thing is for this tier list, I'm primarily going to be talking about Glooga with a wall and Booyah Bomb, just because it is the better kit. There are a few exceptions, and that's going to be with weapons with screen, and I think that probably pairs better with Glooga Deco because of the sensor. So for Zap specifically, it doesn't have all of the qualities that I would want in a good support, so I'm going to be putting it into a good alternative. This is especially good for short range maps like Manta Maria or some of the other maps. like humpback, but you probably won't be running Glooga if you are on humpback. So, and next up we have heavy edit splatling. Now, heavy edit splatling's kind of a case of I have a cooler anchor player, but they don't want to run pencil kind of thing because this weapon is very similar in how it wants to play with pencil. It's got excellent cooler output, really good paint, all the things that pencil has. And another thing about this is that it doesn't have a lot of downtime, which is also nice. You're gonna pick this weapon for more short range maps, or if you're running into comps that like to run at you. Think of like a wiper or maybe some kind of dually comp. This is really good, or short range comps. Also, something that this weapon has over pencil is that it has really good object damage, and that's something that it can make up for with Glooga because Glooga has really bad object damage. So being able to have this shred, especially big bubblers, because those are really going to be in your face, it's really helpful. So I think you can go either way. Just try and make sure that you have answers for longer range options if you pick heavy edit. So I'm going to definitely put this in best cooler option. Now we're going to move on to the Slayers, the best fighting partners. This is probably the most fun and interesting part in my opinion. I am a Slayer player, so it's just something I'm interested in. You're going to be picking Slayers around Glooga mostly, and then you're going to be picking a support based off of what combo is the best with those two weapons. So first up, we're going to be talking about V-Blaster. Actually, before we get into it, the criteria that I have for Slayers is some like good qualities that you want to look for is good combo numbers. So you want a weapon that can ideally do 50 damage or more. Air effect is really important for me personally. Glooga's line of sight, so you need to be able to have someone who can hit over ledges. And then there's also weapons that are really good at distracting or getting Glooga set up. So that's kind of what I look for in these Slayers. Also, Slayers that are like really good at getting in opponents' faces or just having a lot of splatting power is really good because sometimes Glooga can struggle and it really needs a weapon that can get in there and help it take key positions that it wants to wall up on and hold. So we're going to talk about V-Blaster, which is really interesting because this weapon kind of has a little bit of everything, but it's not really... It doesn't really have a crazy strength in any of them. It's got great AoE, good combo numbers, and it also has Big Bubbler, which is really good for getting Glooga set up. And even though it might be a little average in all of it, I think that with all of that combined, it's a really good partner. I would never complain about having a V-Blaster on my team. And it's the same main weapon for Custom Blaster. I think this weapon has a kit that doesn't really synergize as well as Glooga, but if you need someone with sensor, or if you just need a weapon that can like counter certain short range options like a roller or something, that it's a good option. It just doesn't really have a lot of synergy with the Glooga, but still really solid main weapon and I like it a lot. Next up, we're going to talk about my favorite main weapon to play with, which is Range Blaster. I really like Range Blaster. This main weapon, for me, I played it a ton with my teammate Starlight. He was a blaster player, so I've tried basically all the blasters. We played it for a long time. It must have been like a year when Range Blaster was really good. Sometimes we still bring it out. I just really like the range value. These weapons, Range and Glooga, they share the same kinds of range, so it's very easy for both of them to follow up on each other. And on top of that, they have the same good damage and combo numbers that V-Blaster has that I explained before. And overall, just a really strong main weapon. Has AoE as well. And it used to be pretty big. It's still a pretty decent AoE as well. I just really like playing with these weapons. I think they're very easy to play around with, and if you have a Range Blaster player, it's a very good combination. Next up, we're going to be talking about Inkbrush. Now, I might be thinking, why Inkbrush? It's kind of weird. Well, it's not just midline playstyle that we can work with. There's another kind of playstyle that Glooga can play with, and that's more of a distraction playstyle. So you're going to have weapons that are trying to distract, that maybe they're running around or they're pulling people away so that Glooga can get set up. And that's exactly what Inkbrush does. Inkbrush can try and flank, bring people into undesirable positions, and while it pulls people away, Glooga can go in and take those key positions that it likes to take. I think this weapon is a little unorthodox, but it has had at least 2 Area Cup top 16 placements as Splatoon 3. And for that reason, I could really see a synergy, and I think this weapon definitely deserves to be up here. Next up, we have Octobrush. Octobrush is a weird one because I feel like it's really good because it can play for sharks, and it has a really good kit. It can also play a little bit skirmishy like Brush, but I don't know, I'd just rather have other weapons. So I think I'm going to put this in Pickup Syndrome. This weapon has a really good special and a bomb. Like, it has some synergy with Glooga, but for Pickup Syndrome, it's just like, oh, if I have someone who plays this weapon and not many other weapons, or even a one trick, like, I would be okay with playing with it. So that's Pickup Syndrome. Next up, we're going to talk about Foil Flingser Roller. And you'll notice that I didn't pair it with the other Flingser Roller because this is actually like the only weapon that changes roles depending on its kit, which I find pretty interesting. This weapon has a really good one-shot, play for sharks. You're going to want to play this with Glooga Deco because you can censor through splatter color screens. Yeah, if you're playing with the Flingser Roller and they like this kit better, then I wouldn't mind, but this is probably Pickup Syndrome. Next up is Splat Roller. This weapon is really fun. I have not gotten the privilege to play with this weapon very much, but is really good at getting Glooga set up with big bubblers. It also has some AoE, so it can perform some ledge duty, and just overall, like, really strong main weapon. Has a ton of placements in tournaments, and just being able to get Glooga set up is really awesome. And I think this weapon is definitely a weapon that you want to play with if you have a Glooga player. And next up, we have 52 Yao. And this weapon's a little weird because if you don't really know what v.Glooga likes to do, you might think, oh, it's kind of like the same weapon, right? It's a similar role. But it's a little different in how it wants to play. This weapon is much more mobile, and it kind of plays more independently, but this thing still has some synergy with Glooga, even though it has double wall. If you have double wall and you're going against like a short range comp, like double wall really works well. You can wall them out. And of course, this has really good paint. Like, you'll see a lot of these Slayers, they don't have like crazy paint. So this thing can paint for Glooga, and it can also combo with it having 52 damage. So I wouldn't really say it's a good fighting partner anymore. I think the update has brought a lot of really good kits to the scene. So this weapon is kind of lacking in that area too. It doesn't really have a good special. I think if I were to be on a pickup with this team, I wouldn't mind, but I'd rather have some other options. And now we have Slosher. Check out my short, by the way. I did a short on Slosher. Really good. Excellent combo numbers. Great AoE. It has a bomb. It has triple ink strike, which is really good for retaking and getting Glooga set up. Like, I just don't know. This weapon is just really good. And it also surprisingly paints a good amount, so you can have more flexibility in your comps. So this weapon, highly, highly recommend. If you have a Slosher player, you're going to have a really fun time because this weapon allows you to play with like very little restrictions. And you still have the same Slosher main weapon for Slosher Deco. Only difference is you have Zipcaster. It's a little bit weaker of a kit, but as long as you have a good support to back this up with like a good special or something that can get its team in, then I don't see why you couldn't pick this. I think the main weapon is strong enough to put in a good fighting partner. And I want to talk about Machine, because Machine's an interesting case. This main weapon, it wants to hold space, which is something that Glooga also wants to do. So if you're having this weapon and your kind of like second midline, I don't think it really works that well, because both these weapons have trouble taking space. Like, no, making space. They're much better at taking space. So I think for that reason, these are definitely in pickup syndrome. They have really good kits though, and AoE, and they have good damage numbers. But yeah, I would probably play the other sloshers that I am talking about in this video. Now we have the Splatanas, and to no one's surprise, this is going in the best fighting partner. Honestly, this weapon is definitely a top 3 Slayer partner in the game. Both of them. This one specifically, you have Burst Bomb, which has a ton of combos with Glooga and Stamper itself. This weapon can also hit over ledges, which is really good for Glooga. You can also pair this weapon with Heavy Edit. So like if you don't want to pencil. Also has great object damage, which is something that Glooga lacks. You have Zipcaster, which can distract people and let Glooga move in. Like, there's so many good attributes that especially V-Stamper has, and even the Stamper main weapon has. I just can't rank it any lower. It's so good, and it's really fun to play with. Specifically for Splatana Stamper Nouveau, or if you're on Remix, it's called Neo Splatana Stamper. Crab Tank is also pretty good if you need a special to get your team in, because Glooga needs to get set up, then you can choose this one. But I think there is a better Splatana Stamper that does that coming up. We're going to talk about Wiper. I think Wiper is interesting because it plays similar to Inkbrush, but I think the slight differences in how Wiper and Inkbrush plays is a little weird. I'd probably put this in pickup syndrome, like I wouldn't mind having it. It can distract and create space for Glooga, which is really nice. I just think the kits that Inkbrush has, and just kind of the slight differences in the playstyle that both these weapons have. This weapon can play a little too fast for Glooga, I think, and this weapon is much more accommodating. So I'd probably put this in pickup syndrome, but has really good object damage and stuff as well. So I've seen some Glooga comps run this with no issues. Next up is Nautilus, and Nautilus I probably put in pickup syndrome as well. It has not very good kits. It's not really providing anything in that way. This one has a okay special, but it has a point sensor, and this one has like a bomb, which is probably the best I can say about the kits. It provides really good range pressure. It's like a good midline to pair, just because it's like got decent range. Just a strong main weapon overall. Kind of can just fit with any kind of Slayer that you pair with Nautilus. So if you have a Nautilus player, then that's fine. Just make sure you have a good support. And Carbon Roller. Carbon Roller goes into probably good fighting partner. This weapon has really good fighting potential, has really good one-shots, can play for sharks, getting Glooga set up in a different way from kind of the skirmisher playstyles, but it just kind of makes up for, like, sometimes Glooga can have like a bit of a slowness factor to it in a way that you don't really have some kind of quick thing that can splat people, so having a Inksuka and also just like good power is really good, and it also can be under ledges as well, which is nice. And we have S-Blast. Yeah, I was almost going to put this in best fighting partners, but not quite. Very good though. This weapon has been dominating right now. So good. There's so many good factors about it. Has 2 different range values. Really good combo numbers with Glooga. It has Burst Bomb on this one, which can help with comboing, and it has Sprinkler on the other one, which gives the team comp a little bit more paint. This weapon can also play pretty fast, which is really nice. I just don't really prefer them that much because they are more of an independent weapon, and at least for me, I feel like sometimes Glooga needs help fighting. There are some players out there who are more independent than me, but me personally, this weapon's going to go off and do its own thing, and it has the AoE and stuff and damage, but it's not really going to try and follow up with Glooga that much, so I'm going to put it in good fighting partners. And last but not least, we have the Decapitators. I think these weapons are really good. Putting a distinction here, these are just because of the kits. Again, having like sharking weapons. This one plays very similar to Roller, so it's going to use this bubble to get Glooga set up in key areas on like choke points, in front of the zone, or in front of the basket, stuff like that. Really good combo numbers, 80 damage, very good, and really good paint output too for a Slayer. So it's the more your other weapons on a Glooga comp can paint, the less you have to be going out of your way to paint stuff, which is awesome, because Glooga doesn't really want to paint. Of course, you have a bomb and everything. On this one, I put this one here just because it's like still a strong main weapon, and it has a good inkjet. It's a good special that it can get its team in, so I still think it deserves to be here, but I definitely prefer this one. It has a lot more synergy. Now we're going to be talking about the best supports. This one's kind of interesting. What I'm looking for in a good support is I'm looking for good paint output, obviously. Glooga has decent output, but it really does just want to be focusing on walling up and fighting and all that. So good paint output. It also wants a really good special for its team to get in. It can get consistent booyahs on retakes, but you want to be saving those for continuation. So you want something that can get you in. And as a bonus, if you can combo well, I think that's really good. So we'll go straight into it with kind of an exception among all of these, which is Tent Umbrella. I think this weapon is, you really want to pick this for the main weapon, and it has so much synergy with what Glooga wants to do. You basically think about it having a mobile splash wall. Like if you have a 10 on your team, your Glooga has a mobile splash wall, so it can keep rolling forward. This weapon can always get Glooga set up and help it take space, which is something that it struggles with. It can't really just go forward like some weapons can. It has to wait until a special or some other teammate clears the space for it. And Taint allows it to do just that without using any kind of special, which is really awesome. In addition, the canopy can paint a decent amount around Glooga, which is awesome. I'm just not complaining about having 10. I think it's a really fun playstyle to have. And depending on what your 10 player wants, you can choose either kit. I think that Trizuga is definitely really good at getting Glooga set up, or just having like a fast factor for it. And that's another thing with the Reef Slider on SLS, is that if you can have a special that has really good, like, fast, like, aggressive time to splat, like Trizuka or Reef Slider, stuff like that, that's really appreciated. Just to, like, mix up kind of the way that you are getting picks and taking space, because Booyah Bomb is kind of slow. So if you have another Booyah Bomb or some kind of Tri-Strike, like, or Crab Tank, it's people are going to be expecting that, but they don't really expect, like, oh, all of a sudden you have a Reslider or Inkzuka coming at you. So Trizuka is just really strong, and I think for that reason that this 10 is definitely better than the other one. And this one's just more creative. If your 10 player wants to have Inkvac for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe you're playing Clamlets and you want to move forward with that, then that's a fine option. And beacons have been seeing a rise in popularity recently with the new mini. Just being able to have your Slayers always being able to fight is really good. So I would probably pick this one for the beacons rather than the Inkvac. Next up is V-Dualies. I think I'm kind of torn with this weapon because it really likes to go in sometimes. I main this weapon a lot. I think I'm going to put this in good supporters. This weapon can play like a shooter, but I'd be much more comfortable with the shooter, just because shooters play more safe. But it has a really good kit for it. It has Suction Bomb, Crab Tank, really good paint, and it can slay at the same time, which can be helpful. I think I'd just much rather have the other Slayers, not the Slayers, the other supports in this grouping that I'm having. And we have V-Flingza. I'm going to put this in good supporters. It's really funny because there are some Glooga players that get stuck into some double roller comps or stuff like that, and they'll have like Flingza roller there. I think this weapon has good paint. It also has the one shot, like a little bit of splatting power, which is nice. And you have missiles to like get annoying things to move. So it's got some good qualities to it. It's got some synergy, so I wouldn't mind having it. It's a little weird though. You have to remember that this thing will sometimes want to play for sharks, and so you have to play off that as well. Next up we have Junior. this weapon I've kind of thought about for a bit, and I really love Bubble on my partners on my team, but I just think because it's taking up that short range shooter slot that I don't really want it as much as other weapons. I feel like Decapitator and Roller can definitely do better at placing bubbles and giving space to Glooga. This weapon has bomb spam and a lot of bubbles, which is really good. If you're playing coolerless, this is a really good option to consider for stability and as a bubble option, but I would just much rather use a decav or roller or a different short range shooter. So put it in great supporter. Still really good at what it does. Next up we have Pro. These weapons are interesting because I used to think pretty highly of them before the patch, but for some reason that I'm not going to go into yet, I don't think these are the best ones right now. They have an interesting niche in that most supports in this game are not mid-range, so if you're looking for a mid-range shooter, then these are good because you might be going against some more short-range options, or it's map dependent, or you just have a pro player. I think this is a very solid addition. Good damage and just paint, like good range, like I wouldn't complain. I would much rather have Crab Tank though, especially for zones. Having double Booyah on zones is a little weird, but I'd pick this Forge Pro for tower control only. Having double Booyah and a suction bomb is definitely fine. And next up we have Splatter Shot. This weapon is interesting because it has much more fighting capability than something like Splash does or Mini, and for that reason I think it combos really well with some of the partners up in this tier, like a Range Blaster or some of the other blasters. Just being able to make some play sometimes is really nice compared to something like Splash. And again, really great paint output, has a bomb, and Trizuka is really good for getting Glooga in and its team. So this is definitely one of my preferred supports that I like to run on Remix when I'm running blasters, just because it's you just delete whatever weapon is giving the team comp trouble. And then T-Tech is kind of a alternative. Maybe you're finding yourself with some objects that you are having trouble dealing with. Strikes is really good at providing that object damage and extra paint. You're picking this weapon because you want strikes on your team comp as your like support special. And again, good paint, has a bomb, so and it can have some playmaking potential. Next up we have V-Splash. Now this weapon is a little uncertain right now because of the balance patch that happened. Crab Tank definitely is a little bit weaker now. We might see more Booyah Bombs or Tri-Strikes, stuff like that. So we don't really know where Crab Tank is going to stand next, but for sure this weapon has been really good. A really good staple with Glooga for a while now. It has Burst Bomb for combos with the 52 damage that Glooga does. Really good paint output and a crab. Like, this weapon synergizes really well with a lot of the stuff up here as well. Just really good at rounding out your comps. So for that reason, it's definitely going to be up here. And next we have Neo Splash. Now the reason why I want to talk about this after T-Tech is because Glooga has enough paint where you really don't need to be running this weapon. This weapon just, I really don't like this weapon when T-Tech is right there, because T-Tech can make plays. This weapon just paints, so you're more reliant on your other two teammates, your Slayers, to do the work. If you really need a lot of tri-strike output, honestly just run more charge up on the T-Tech. This weapon just doesn't really have a use case, in my opinion. Unless you have a, I don't know, maybe you have a splash one trick or something, then you pick this. But it has decent output and a good kit, so I can't put it any lower than great. Next up we have Mini Splatling. I'm going to put this one in good supporters. This one kind of leans into the meta that we've been having with Burst Bomb and chip damage really well. So it kind of fits in well there, but I find it really hard to build a comp around this. There is the team that won Area Cup named Explosion. They were running this the time before they won Area Cup. And the only thing that I just don't like about this mini is that it doesn't really have a special to get its team in. If you're running this as a support weapon, then you need to make sure that you have something like a slosher or some other weapon that has a good entry tool that can get the team in reliably. Because I don't think you can completely rely on Glooga Bomb as your only entry special. But it's got really decent paint, and it can kind of move in with Ultra Stamp sometimes, or throw it to delete people, kind of like Trizuka. So it's decent. I think that Zimmy's a little bit better. It's kind of the same use case as Junior, except you have a mini player using your kit to like paint spam and bubble and all that. This weapon just lives. It doesn't really fight too much. So it's decent, but I'd rather have other bubble options. And next up we have Reflux. You're picking this weapon if you have a Reflex one trick. It's got missiles, good paint output. I don't think there's much more to say. Like, this weapon can kind of fight, but it doesn't really have too much synergy with Glooga. I just put it here because it's got a decent special and it paints. And we have Dreadringer, and I definitely say this weapon here would be zones only, just because I don't think Slider really works as well as something as the other options in something like Clan Blitz or Tower Control. But this main weapon is really good. Like, really good. It has amazing paint output. It has really good combo potential. This thing can hit one of its shots and it will combo off of the rolled shots that Glooga can do. It's like high damage, and it has AoE and a bomb, so this is definitely something you would want to pick for the main weapon rather than the kit, and it's really strong. I really like this weapon, but it just you kind of just have to run this with maybe a slosher or something. Like, it's really all I can see, because you really need the special that this weapon does not have. So I wouldn't recommend this over other options, but it's a really strong main. Next up, we have our alternative anchors, and we're going to talk about Bamboozler first, because it's just in there. Bamboozler is a weird case where it's kind of got a lot of similar attributes to Pencil, where it's a 2-shot charger. It has high damage and really good paint. Specifically, I'm putting only the Mark II here because I feel like the kit paints a ton, so it's really helpful for Glooga. Chump specifically is really good with dualies because it provides like protection, and you can kind of juke people out and confuse people dodge rolling through them. I just don't really see a reason why you would pick this over pencil. This weapon doesn't really have a crazy special that it can provide for Glooga, but it has decent combos, and maybe you want to consider running this as more of a midline fighting partner, but I just think the kit is lacking. If this weapon had a really good special, then it would definitely be a good weapon to run. Kind of like with all of these alternative anchors, I don't see a reason you'd want to run it unless you have a specific player that you're doing maybe a pickup with that plays these weapons. Because I feel like there's just better options, and that is basically pencil, honestly, or edit if you're running a comp that can make up for edit's lack of range. So I'll put edit here while we're talking about edit. This thing has crab tank, which is really good. Can get its team in. Great paint output, kind of the same reasons why edit is in the best cooler option. And decent object damage. You're just not running this over the regular edit or pencil or other like support options. It's just, I don't really see a reason to run it unless it's crab leg. You run this weapon with like a 96 scale or NZAP. And we have Splatter Scope. This one's interesting because this one actually did get a high placing in Area Cup about a year ago. This weapon is really good at holding space like Glooga is, and it's definitely proven itself to be good. It has a special against team in. You just really need to be careful about how you're building a comp with this weapon in Glooga. You really need a weapon that is very good at creating space, like an ink brush or a roller, and you're also going to want to pick a support that can output a lot of paint, because Glooga and Charger are going to be like your two non-painting weapons. You kind of want two other painting weapons that can round out the comp. And next up is Ballpoint. I just put this here because it's very solid main weapon. A lot of people in Japan pick this weapon because they're really good at it. Has inkjet, you know, kind of simple. Ooh, and now we're at the fun part that everybody was looking forward to. We're going to be talking about the new weapons. I'm going to be ranking this through all of the tier list, but in order. So we're going to start out with cooler, fighting partners, supports, and anchors. And we're just going to see where I think these weapons will end up in the future, because we don't really know how everything's going to play out, but usually the Glooga comps don't change too much. At least in the past like year, they haven't. I want to talk about Rapid, because I'm kind of conflicted, because this weapon is really strong, but it just doesn't really synergize too well with Glooga. If you really need to be picking other weapons that synergize really well with Rapid to justify picking it. Like, you're picking maybe a Dreadringer, or you're picking some kind of Splatana, then I could see it, but the damage doesn't really do it. This still has AoE, which is really good. But another thing is, I feel like this weapon plays, or at least it wants to play with its comps at a different pacing than Glooga does. And I just think that the traditional midline kind of playstyle is better with Glooga, so I'd rather pick some of the other options. But if this weapon becomes really good, and maybe they give it up points for a special nerf, you could definitely consider it more, but it'd probably be on like my lowest viable cooler option that I would consider. Speaking of new cooler options, we have 96 gal, and this weapon is definitely alternative as well. It's got great paint, great cooler output. It also has a 60 damage shot, so it combos with Glooga, which is really nice. This weapon, you're going to be running this for short range maps or maps where pencil is not good, maybe even pencil and edit. You need to think of even like the new Urchin Underpass is a good place to run this weapon. It's just solid. It's honestly, it's probably a better NZAP. You just don't have the bomb. And we have Carbon Roller. By the way, I don't really know what all the new weapon names are, so bear with me. I think this weapon is a good fighting partner as well. It's just a different kit flare. You got Chumps, which can help support Glooga and Carbon with kind of like sharking plays for Carbon, or just like having shields and doing dually things with Glooga. And it's got Fizzy Bomb, so when you're in disadvantage, you can just spam Fizzy Bombs. And just kind of like, it's basically just the same Carbon main weapon with different kit, which can be interesting to play around. And we have the new blaster. This one's a little weird because I just don't know where it can fit in. It's got a really interesting kit, like one of my favorite main weapons to play with, and it has Crab Tank, which is really good for stalling or getting steam in. You're just going to use it more selfishly, probably more about survival, but it's got beacons and stuff. I think you're just picking this weapon for the main weapon, and maybe there's going to be some person out there who discovers how to play this weapon, and our opinions can change about where this goes. This definitely goes not lower than a good fighting partner for sure. Next up, we have the Tri-Slosher, the new one. The only Tri-Slosher I have on this list. And this weapon definitely goes better with Glooga Echo because it's green. You can use your point sensors to help the Tri-Slosher. I would say if you're playing Glooga Echo, you're more like trying to support this weapon with your Trizukas and your kit, your point sensor. But they can play off each other in interesting ways when you have this weapon sharking, or like maybe getting quick splats like Glooga needs. I wouldn't mind having this, but it'd probably be pickup syndrome. I would rather have a weapon that synergizes with v.Glooga rather than playing Glooga Echo, even though I find Glooga Echo to be fun. It's just less powerful. And the same thing for pickup syndrome, kind of the same as Wiper, the other one. Similar playstyle. This one plays more supportively, is what I've been hearing. I got to play with it recently, actually. This weapon can get Trizukas, which is pretty nice, and it also paints a little bit more than the other Wiper. So this weapon can get Glooga set up with Trizuka and just like distracting, which is really nice. Maybe this one goes up, but I don't have enough knowledge yet to see. But if you have a Wiper player, you're probably playing this one. But it's a really good kit. And we have the future. This like really is the future of the Splatoon 3 meta, having a super strong Stamper with all the reasons why you want to pick it for Glooga and just for your comp that I explained earlier. And now you have a Booyah Bomb. Like, double Booyah Bomb might become really good because of its dominance over Crab Tank. You can almost, like, probably like 3 out of 4 times splat like a Crab Tank user if you throw Booyah Bomb with them. You just got great object damage and a really good well-rounded kit. if double Booyah Bomb becomes really good, like this one is what you want to do. And you also just get much more consistent value compared to something like Zipcaster. You always get value with Booyah Bomb, and you have a lethal bomb as well, which can make up for maybe your team's lack of bombs because you're running Splash Wall. I am really happy about this kit. I think this kit is definitely the future, and might become top 2, 3 best fighting partners if it isn't already. And next up, we're going to move on to the supports. I'm going to put this in great supports. Actually, I don't know why you'd run this one, but it's there. I'll put this in good supports. This tent kit is just you run it for jumps because it has good synergy with Glooga, and it provides more paint output than the other ones. I just don't see why you're choosing this kit when you have freaking Trizuka and even a beacon there. Next up, we have a really good support. We're talking about the new Pro. This weapon has such a good kit. It finally got a good kit like a bomb with a special that's not Booyah Bomb that can get its team in. So I think it's really good for that. It can fight really well. It's just really well rounded, and Tenta missiles are really good against any kind of anchor that you can struggle with, and just it's always going to give value. This weapon is just really good. It's definitely going to continue to see use in the future, and I could definitely see this being a good staple on Glooga comps depending on what other Slayer you're running or the team that you're going against. And do you guys remember when I was talking about how Mini doesn't really have a good special? Well, now it does. It has an awesome special. This is the support that won Era Cup with the Glooga and the Decapitator. This is the weapon that finally fixed the problem of having the curse of Ultra Stamp. Now it has Trizuka, and it can just delete people and get the Glooga and its Slayer in. It's just so good. It has excellent paint, and then it has beacons on top of that. That with the paint makes it so that Glooga is always fighting. It's never painting, and same with its other Slayer partner as well. Next up, we have the Reflex. You're picking this because you have a Reflex one trick again. This weapon can make more plays. It has crazy paint output, and torpedoes is really nice for location. Yeah, if you have a Reflex player, you're playing this one. Don't really have much to say about it. This weapon might be played a lot more in the future, depending on if people want to dedicate their time to it. I wouldn't prefer like Booyah Bomb as a support special, but I think overall the package is really strong. And next up, we're talking about the new dualies. This is the one that I'm trying to practice right now. I'm putting this one in great supporters over good just because it has bubble, and I think it has a lot of synergy with Glooga. And just overall, I wouldn't complain. This thing has great paint. You will probably want to play this in a Glooga comp being more supportive, running abilities like LDE, playing it kind of like K Glooga in Splatoon 2. Rip K Glooga in this game. They kidnapped K Glooga and made this dually. Yeah. I typically like to play this weapon with like QR and stuff, but for Glooga comp specifically, you don't really want to be using the attributes of the dueling main weapon beside this painting. So you want to run this more supportively, and it's probably better than Junior in my opinion, because it just has a better bomb, better main weapon, and it's got the same special that is really good with the weapon, the main weapon of Glooga. And now we have the best support ever right now, in my opinion. This Dreadringer is freaking awesome. This weapon paints a ton, has a combo numbers, AoE, and it finally fixed the special problem, just kind of like with Mini actually, of not having a good support special to get its team in to do all that stuff. Like, if you're having a support that doesn't have Crab, Booyah, Strikes, Whistle, that kind of stuff, then you're kind of defeating the purpose of being in that support slot. But this weapon has everything that Glooga could ever want in a support and more, like being AoE as well. It's just, if you have a Dreadringer player or you're looking to make a team, like, pair up with this weapon, it's going to be really good, even if Crab might get worse soon. I think this weapon is just spectacular. And next up we have Charger. This weapon has Crab Tank, so if you want to pick this weapon, I think this weapon might have a little bit more paint output because of Sprinkler, but if you have a Charger player who wants to play Crab Tank, then you're going to pick this one. Otherwise, you can go with the Strikes. Not really much to say. Good at holding space as well with the Crab Tank and the main weapon. And I'm just going to put Tri-Stringer here. This thing has good paint. I guess it can hit over ledges. It's just there. It has a good special, so yeah. Wow. That is a whole hour of me talking about Glooga Dualies. I really hope that everybody enjoyed listening to me, and for those of you that are just doing chores or doing work, I hope this really helped you with that. But I hope overall that you were able to take away something from this and learn something about how to build a good Glooga comp in the Glooga Dualies. And definitely, as more people look at this main weapon and see, oh, this could be a viable option, this is a good starting point for figuring out how you want to build around it. Alright, that's it. Thank you so much. Make sure to subscribe for more competitive Glooga tips, and have a nice day.